Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I am excited to have Mary Grace on the show today. In today's episode, she discusses how not holding your team accountable became a challenge that she had to address in order to move forward. She also talks about hiring a good salesperson as one thing that she needs to solve in the next year, so that everything doesn't slow down in her business's growth. If you're a business owner feeling stuck between working harder and growing smarter, this podcast is for you. Mary Grace owns Pingoy Portrait Studio. They provide handcrafted family portrait wall art. And something unique or unexpected about her is that when she's not at work, she'd rather be in her PJs cuddling with her kids. Welcome to the show, Mary Grace.
Thank you so much, Tim, for having me.
Well, hey, I'm super excited to hear your story today. Most owners tell me that they started the business for some version of freedom and flexibility, but often lost that in the beginning. But what is it about your business? What problem were you trying to escape, or what were you trying to solve when you started your business?
Well, I am a mom of six, so I have a lot of little ones around. I was really first and foremost a mother and wife, and I just loved taking pictures of my first was born. I just was like, instead of hiring another photographer, I was already into photography. I just took my own photos.
Yeah.
And then people complimented me on them and then said, "Can you do it for my kids?" And I did it for my friends' kids, and then word of mouth. So it just started with word of mouth. And then I was like, oh, someone offered me some money for it. I said, well, this would be good for us. A little side, a little just, I wasn't even dreaming at that point. I was just like, little here, little there.
Yeah.
And then once it started going, then I said, this actually really could be a business. But for the first few years, I have to say it wasn't very profitable because I was just kind of winging it. I didn't know much about the business side of things.
Sure.
I was having a lot of fun. It was really good side income for our family.
Yeah.
But then I really got into the business side and I started challenging myself to learn the business
Mm,
side. I um I really feel it's very important to learn from the best, to learn from the people who are actually doing it right.
yeah.
So, there's a million photographers out there. You can find them anywhere, actually. And there's some really great talented ones, but if you don't know the business side of it, you really won't
Yeah.
make much. And I've actually lived that, so I understand that. So then when I started researching what portrait studios, wow, they're making this much, and these are $1 million studios, and how in the world are they doing this? And so I found mentorship in this group, and they are amazing, and they were the highly successful studios, and I was able to get into that circle.
That's awesome.
And it was such a blessing because I made friends there. One in particular, she took me under her wing and just was a great mentor to me. And I learned the business side and I studied on my own. It wasn't just her mentorship, but it was also me digging in and reading
Yeah.
and understanding. And so I had to really learn that side. And then
Yeah.
I quickly learned that it's 99% business and 1% the photography. I was like, oh my goodness,
Yes,
when
yes.
really, of course, that's the way it goes. But my heart really was for photography. And then I just had to like let go of those
Yeah.
things when I wanted to grow the business because I can't wear all the hats.
Yeah. And that is the biggest aha that I hear is that most folks get into business because they're an expert at their art or their craft or their
Yeah.
trade. But
Yes.
the education or the schooling system didn't teach them how to be a business owner. And there's this,
Absolutely.
just like you said, right? There's this big, oh my goodness, I have no idea what I'm doing on the business side.
Absolutely. Oh my. And it takes years of learning and I'm still learning and never stop learning because there's so much to learn. Every single part of this business is like, wow, there's another thing. I'm really, you
So,
know.
Mary Grace,
Yeah.
starting a business requires a bit of a leap of faith. So, what was it that specifically made you say, you know what, I can do this, even though, right, you didn't have it all figured out?
I'm always been that type of person. I think, uh, I feel like God really puts things in front of us, and and it's up to us to respond and like go for it, like as long as we're doing it with the right heart and the right
Mm,
intention, even if we fall, if we fail the first time, a couple times, it's okay as long as we have the right heart about it and we
mm,
we have a positive attitude and we know, okay, God is steering us in the right way. If this is a closed door, then
yeah,
then I won't go that way. But if I keep trying and keep going, and then He opens doors, then okay, He's doing it. So
right.
that's exactly what I felt happened. It was really I am grateful to God because He opened so many doors for me. Just like I said with that mentorship, I don't know how I got within that circle of people, but it was really special, and I know He was guiding me. And then so at that point, I opened up my studio because other before that, I was just going on location, going to
Okay,
families'
yeah,
homes, going
sure.
to the beach or the park to do on location shoots, but I didn't own a an actual brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And so they challenged me in the group because they all own studios. You gotta open a studio. So I looked and I looked and I found this place, and it was just like an empty space, and it was not remodeled yet, so it looked not very much, but I could afford the rent.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do it. And you know what, Tim? It was in the beginning of right before COVID when
Mm.
I signed the lease.
Oh no.
I signed the lease, and then the next month after it was COVID, and I was like, oh my goodness, what just happened?
Yeah.
But thankfully, it was still the right decision because
That's
right when we were just closed for 2 months, and during that time we had to remodel anyway.
okay.
So the construction workers were considered essential workers, so they
Yeah.
could continue. So the moment we were done with the remodeling, ready to open our grand opening, was the moment that COVID, I mean, they were opening businesses again. And you know what? We were fully booked.
Oh wow.
So
Praise
many
God.
people. Yes, praise God for real because it was like everybody wanted to get out.
Yeah.
I think COVID even gave people that sentiment of like family is really important and
Yeah.
we should take a family portrait and this is very meaningful. And so all the people who were like kind of pent up inside indoors for the whole spring,
Yeah.
once it was June when we opened up, like I said, our calendar was fully booked and we just kept running with it. And so we were quite successful the very first year. And then each year after that, we doubled.
That's awesome.
So
Awesome.
we were just like, wow, this is just amazing. And we even extended the studio. We got a second space
Yeah.
and we even expanded the studio.
So, Mary Grace, speaking of that doubling, we know that successful business owners can get stuck at various stages of their growth. So, tell us about your biggest challenge and maybe what you tried first that didn't work, and then what finally made the difference in allowing you to keep growing.
Well, it was in the very beginning, everything, like I said, was all on me. I had all the hats on.
Yeah.
I photographed, I made the bookings, I photographed, I did the sales, and
Hmm.
I even did the artwork and produced the artwork and sent everything. I was production, it was every single department you can think
Yeah.
of. And then the very first thing I hired was, let me just get one assistant.
Yeah.
So I hired one person, and then I was like, oh wow, that took a load off me just for that one person. And I said, well, what if I hired someone who could actually do the phone calls for me? That's the second person.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this is the hard part to give up, but the photography, if I hired another photographer, trained them how I want to do it, because as an artist, you want to kind of own all
Yeah.
the art do
Yeah.
it, but then I knew I couldn't scale that way. I couldn't do
Yeah.
everything myself.
Yeah.
So then I let go of the photography department, and sales was the last one because sales is the one that like is very hard to train,
Yeah.
So someone have the same passion as you to sell
Yes.
what you're
Yes. Yeah.
selling,
Yeah.
right? And it's still actually the hardest person to fill in my
Yeah.
team.
So
It's
Mary Grace, let's go
yeah.
back. You mentioned the first couple hires, and in your intro, I talked about, the accountability and right and the checks and balances. So talk me through that learning curve in terms of you hired these folks, but maybe they weren't performing exactly how you wanted them to. How did you work yourself through that?
Well, I think I am just such a genuine person and I believe in everyone. So I
Uh-huh.
a lot of people that I just believed in right away, like, oh, if I hire them and tell them what to do, they'll just do exactly how I told them. I trust them.
Yeah.
So I really gave a lot of trust to them, and I got burned along the way because not
Mhm.
everyone has that same heart and
Yeah.
same trust. And so so I was like, oh, some people aren't actually doing the job I asked them to.
Yeah.
So I had to develop, and I learned these from my mentors, you need to have checks and balances, you need to have scheduled check-ins, you need to have great like scorecards for them so that they
Yeah.
can receive feedback. And it's not just like out of the blue, I'm going to give you feedback. It's that they're expecting the feedback so that they know how
Yes.
to perform,
Yeah.
and then they have metrics to go by. And it was like I never thought of it that way because I'm so free-spirited, and then I
Sure.
thought, just do a good job for me, and that's all. That's all I thought. But in actuality, that's not the reality,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So we have to, it's just kind of like a teacher,
Yes. Yes.
is in
It's
school with a
quite
team.
interesting that
Yeah.
um, nobody really wants to be a manager, and most people don't really want to be managed, but it's super critical for a business success, right? To have that clarity and hold people accountable.
Yes, absolutely. It is. And it did hurt a lot on the times I had some low points because I had some of my team members starting toxicity within the group, and
Hmm.
then I had to reform the whole team because I had
Yeah.
people leaving. I had someone unfortunately steal from me, like things like
Yeah.
that you never
Ah,
think would happen. And I still wish them all the best, and everything. But then I'm like, well, were not the right people for
yes.
me.
Yeah. Great
And
perspective.
so I had to, but I have to admit and be real, like I was ready to throw in the towel at some points. I was like, I'm just gonna close the business down. This is too much for me. It was all at once, it was like
Yeah.
it's hard, being a business owner, you have to go
Yeah.
through those struggles.
Yeah.
But thankfully I pushed through, and now I have a team that really, that's another thing that I built was good culture, team
Yeah.
culture, the right culture,
Yeah.
a positive culture. That's something I really try to maintain very well in now. And so I had to learn the hard way that way, but now I think that was, for a reason, because now I know
Yes.
how to form the team better.
Yes, we tend to learn a lot faster and a lot better through the mistakes that we go through than not, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Mary Grace, what belief about running a business that you had turned out to be wrong and cost you time and money?
Um, Time and money. Oh, yes. So the salespeople, this is still the struggle. I feel like sometimes I would just think, okay, even if they don't have good experience on their resume,
Mhm.
I could just, teach them everything and show them the ropes. But then I realized, you know what, I really should hire people who have the experience, have at least some experience, spirit.
Sure.
They have to have both. It's like it's not it's both, and they need
Yeah.
to have a spirit about them that they still want to learn, but they have good experience, because starting
Mhm.
from the ground up is very difficult. And I thought I could just like teach somebody everything in terms of sales, and it's just a different beast.
Yeah.
Maybe in photography I can do that. In other areas I can teach people from the ground up easier, but when people don't have experience in sales, it really is quite hard to teach them all the ropes.
Yeah. Yeah. And your belief that you could teach them from the ground up is true. It just takes a long time.
It takes more time, and that's when you lose money that way and that way, because you're wasting time. Time is money. Another example, really quick, that I thought of is that I tried Zoom sales for a bit, and it hurt me in the sense that because I'm in our studio we do in-person sales.
Yeah.
We're very, show them the artwork in person, and we're
Yeah.
very like, show them around our studio, and they understand everything. Then
Yeah.
the sale is made. Where when it was over Zoom, I felt there was a disconnect, and maybe it's something I just need to learn better, because I know there's a lot of businesses that are doing Zoom
Sure.
sales very well.
Sure. Yeah.
But I did lose some money during that time when I kind of threw all my eggs in one basket, and like I'm gonna
Ah.
turn everything into
Yeah.
Zoom, because everybody's doing Zoom now. I'm going to just do Zoom. And
Yeah.
then I was like, oops, that didn't work very
Yeah.
well for me. So maybe the lesson learned is there. If I were to try something new, don't throw all my eggs in one basket. Maybe try it like for a portion of my sales, but not all of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
we describe that as testing and measuring, right? Do a
Okay.
little
Yeah.
bit, get some feedback,
Right.
see if it's working before you roll it out. So,
Yes.
success also has to do a lot with our mindset. So, Mary Grace, what has been the biggest mindset shift that you've had to work through as an owner?
I think in scalability, the threshold of also my my dreaming is like I had limiting
Ah,
beliefs in myself, right?
yeah,
And it goes across the board with how big our sales could be or how big our studio can get.
right.
And I was my own limiting factor. And I know
Mhm.
that it could be much bigger, it could be much more successful if I just get out of my own way,
Yeah,
and really, sky's the limit. So
yeah,
I think that even that's something I try to teach my own people in my own team, but it starts with me. It really
yeah,
does start with me.
yes,
So I think that has been the biggest shift. It once I got like out of that limiting,
yeah,
factors and started saying, okay, we can actually push. And I feel like that still keeps going. And
yes.
no matter how much you've been in the business, you have to still continue to challenge yourself with your limiting beliefs there.
Yeah, absolutely. And those limiting beliefs, doubts and fears and right and wonder ifs, they will always come resurface in different ways. So just
Mhm.
having that awareness and continuing to it's a muscle, right? Continuing to exercise
Yeah.
the positive mindset muscle to overcome the self-limiting beliefs is super important because yeah, as you said, the reality is what we think, feel, and believe is the world that we attract.
Hmm. Absolutely, 100% agree with that.
So as you think about the next year, what's the one thing that if you don't get it figured out, it's going to hold back the progress of your business?
So yes, as I mentioned, the sales, I keep bringing up that, but that really is right now my the hurdle I'm trying to overcome right now because I had a really amazing salesperson. She got married recently, so she told me ahead of time, she's like, after
Mm,
I get married, I'm gonna, move on. And so I thought that I would be able to find someone since then, and I still haven't. So it's been about a month since I haven't
okay.
found the right person.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to find someone who has experience but also has the right heart
Mm,
for what we do. So
yeah.
it's very difficult. I have found it to be difficult to find a good hire in the sales department. That's always been the most difficult
And why
seat.
is filling that role important to you?
It is because if I don't have someone doing it for me, then I have to step in.
Uh-huh.
And so it
Yeah.
takes me away from managing and overseeing and growing the business.
Yeah.
So that is where I would like to be, is to step out and kind of be the operator looking over. But right now I had to step back into the business and do the sales.
Yeah.
The sales are definitely higher when I'm selling, but
Yeah.
I can't feel that way. I need to have other people selling for me. So, even though I still have the passion and I love being in the studio, I need to find someone who can take that place for me.
I love that you've got that, that perspective of right getting yourself out of the business, out of the day to day to allow you to focus on, more strategic, big picture things. That's awesome. Yeah. And
Yes.
and as you said, right, some of the getting ourselves out of some of these roles is harder than others. And right. And it takes a little bit of time and effort to right to navigate through it and figure it out. And I'm proud of you for continuing to focus on it, right? And not just saying, oh, I guess I just have to always be the salesperson. So way to go.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. I know I'll find the right person soon, very soon.
Yes. So we know that self-made is a myth. That's the whole reason for this show. So who are the three people that have helped you the most in your business journey, and how did they help you?
Well, I always have to shout out my husband. He is amazing. He's so hands-on, such a great supporter. A lot of people always say, "How do you do it with six kids?" I'm like, "Well, you know what? My husband, he's everything. He loves our kids. He's so hands-on with the kids. He's a wonder dad, and then, you know, I have my parents as well. I have to also mention them. They when they're around, they are always so helpful.
Mm,
Um, but so it takes a village. But I think the mentors that I mentioned earlier, really were the ones who helped me grow. I learned from many different mentors. There's been many different people I sought advice from, but in particular, one of my the people that I want to mention is my friend Andrea, who owns another studio, and she taught me, showed me the ropes, and I
Yeah.
really owe a lot to her because she really took me under her wing, and she
Mhm.
didn't have to do that, but she saw something in me, and I really am so indebted to the way that she kind of showed me the ropes and showed me how to run a studio. So those are the people that I would really love to thank.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So, what advice, Mary Grace, do you have for business owners who are feeling stuck or overwhelmed and they're trying to figure it out on their own?
Keep the faith, and believe in yourself. And there's going to be a lot of hurdles along the way, but just know that the finish line is there. You really you go as far as you believe in yourself.
Mm.
Um, but I really do, again, thank God for the way He just has provided, because I don't know how little me has was able to build a business such as this. Really, I really am feeling, I pinch myself like a lot, just thinking about what a blessing it is to own a business, and it's really the
Mm.
American dream. Anyone can do it. It's not that I'm this unicorn and I can just do some magic. It's not. I'm a regular old person, but I think that when someone has the grit, determination, and belief that they can do it, anybody can do it. And so,
Love it.
it's that advice I would give to anybody. You can do it. You just have to believe in yourself.
Mary Grace, as you reflect on, your journey, what's the biggest learning overall that leads to success?
The biggest, could you repeat that one more
Yeah,
time?
what's your biggest learning in terms of what's the biggest thing that leads to success?
Um, okay, so biggest learning, for me, I think that if you think that you already know everything, then you stay stagnant. You stay in the
Mm,
same place.
yeah,
And if you are humble enough to know that you have more to learn,
yeah,
then you just keep growing. You just keep going higher and higher. And it doesn't matter where you are. It's that's what drives people to be successful, is they're constantly learning. They're humble enough to know that they don't know it all, and also to not be proud enough to say, like, to not look at another person and say, hey, they are doing it right, I want to learn from them.
yeah,
So I think sometimes people are too prideful to be like, I don't want to learn from another person. I'm just going to figure it out myself.
yeah.
So I'm not that way. I'm like, you know what? They're doing it right. Let me learn from them. Let's
I
go right
love
to
it.
the start. You
I
gotta
love it.
go.
Yes,
Just go to the
yes.
person that knows
It
how to do it and learn from them.
it's so true that what you're saying is that the business can only grow to the owner's, you know, skills and understanding and knowledge and capacity. So yeah, if the owner plateaus, then the business will plateau.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mary Grace, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you in your business journey. If they were all here today, what would you want to say to them?
Oh, just that I'm so grateful for them. And I couldn't have done it without them in my life. And this is really, again, all glory to the Lord, because um I really feel like any successes I have, that it's for a purpose He wants for me. He wants to fulfill in me. And it's not just for me to keep everything for myself, but to give it back out and to bless others. And that's what I hope that and pray that I actually do. And when the time comes, God's calling me to do all these things that He set before me. He's like, this is why I have done this for you, so that you can fulfill those things.
I love it. Love it. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Mary Grace. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Tim. It was really an honor for me to meet you and to be on your show. Thank you.
For those listening, if any of this resonated, you don't have to figure it out on your own. We offer a 2-week coaching and training trial to help you step back and get clarity. You can find the link in the description. And if this episode made you realize that you're carrying more than you should, you'll want to catch our next episode. Our next guest shares their growing pains and how they worked through it and the ones that they're still facing. So like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss it. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.